Long ago, in a faraway land, before the winter was tame and the first rulers reigned, the ponies of Equestria dreaded days of frigid weather and nights that only made matters worse. No snow would fall either, just clear skies and heavy winds that would chill them down to the bone. Amongst the three races, there was one Pegasus who stood out above the rest. For she wasn't like the rest, you see. In fact, she might as well have been her own breed. Her coat was light blue, with her long mane and tail a combination of slate and arctic. Her eyes a pale gray, and for one with no horn for magic, she had another power given to her when she was just a filly. What was this ability, you might ask? Well, her powers came both physically and emotionally. As she grew, she found out that she could become as cold as ice. And no matter how hard she tried, she would become cold-hearted towards everyone she met. It seemed that no one would give her a chance of becoming friends after that. To make matters worse, she discovered that everything she touched would freeze. She would never forgive herself if she caused harm to anyone, so she decided to live on a hilltop on the farthest point of the village. After years spent in isolation, she would wait each day for what would become a sort of game the rest of the ponies played on her. Every day, some young foals and fillies would head up to the hill to her house under pretense that an old cranky witch would chase them off. Those brave enough would knock twice, maybe 3 times before the Pegasus answered the door. For a time, this was the only way the young mare found a slight tinge of enjoyment. If the children were so intent on believing such fibs about her, then she sought to it to make good of their tales. To her, this was the only way she could meet others without getting too close. However, there was one who changed that, and for the first time ever, she felt like every pony else. The one responsible for her new chance at a normal life was an earth pony. At first she thought he was just like the rest of the children who dared to come up the hill to catch a glimpse of her. But that wasn't the case. He saw that she wasn't as bad as everyone had told him. He grew to like the mare, and even though her own cold-hearted attitude kicked in whenever he came by the visit, he wouldn't leave. For he saw that behind the blackened heart, there was something special about her. In time, the earth pony showed up outside her house late in the afternoon. Despite her growing powers, she too grew fond of the stallion, and dared to show him what she was capable of doing. When he arrived one afternoon, she had put out buckets of water. When she touched them, the liquid inside instantly froze. Needless to say, the stallion was impressed, and instead of questioning her, he decided to put her powers to the test. When the rainy season came around, he took her outside to see what would happen once she touched the rain clouds. The mare was hesitant, but when he reassured her, she flew up to the clouds and reached out her hoof. The black clouds turned to solid gray. The rain that would normally fall didn't happen that day. Instead, small dots started to drift from the sky. The stallion and the rest of the village watched in awe as the white dots landed softly on the ground and on them. The new rain was frozen, and once they hit the ground and the ponies below, they melted at first, but soon began to stick. The Pegasus landed beside the stallion, amazed by what she had done. With the new weather changing the grounds around them, the earth pony took the mare's hoof. It was like touching ice. The mare tried to pull away, but the stallion held on. She could see that his hoof was slowly turning purple, but he didn't care. She pried herself away and ran back to her house. The stallion came by again that night. Reluctantly, she let him in. His right hoof had been bandaged. She tried to apologize, but he told her that it wasn't as bad as it looked. The Pegasus, however, knew better. She knew that her powers were growing stronger by the day, and next time, she feared that his next move could be his last. She knew what had to be done. At long last, her gift, her curse, was realized. In her own way, she could be kind after all. Smiling weakly at him, she moved closer and thanked him for giving her a chance at being normal. Their lips met. Hers, ice cold, and his, warm and soft. When she left that night, he asked if he was ever going to see her again. She smiled at him and said, "Look to the sky. You'll find me there once a year." When he asked when that would be, she thought for a moment before replying, "Winter. Yes, I think that would fit perfectly. And so the stallion did as she told him to do. Once winter came around again, he hiked up to the house on the hill and waited. What happened next was just like before. The sky had been covered by a gray overcast. The ponies of the village and across the land came outside their homes to witness the new weather. It started with a single white dot falling from the gray blanket. Soon, more followed behind. This time, the white dots appeared to sparkle. The stallion closed his eyes as a cold winter wind swept throughout the land, for he knew who was behind the phenomenon taking place. Every winter since then, the stallion returned to the same hill and watched as the sky became covered in the same gray overcast, and the mare's gift to the lands far and near was witnessed. Each time a filly or colt would ask him who made the white dots appear, he would reply with a smile. It was her, the winter mare.